All right, welcome back. I'm here with John Gibbons, my fellow Gap Inc. alum who has been around the world and back a few times. And I'm really not only excited, but honored that you're sharing because you have some interesting things going on with Naomi. And I really, I'm just, after we've talked the other day, I was like, yeah, I'm glad that you're the one who's trying to tackle this problem because you get it from an HR business partner perspective, an analyst perspective, a researcher perspective. So if you would introduce yourself and share what you are going to share with us today.
Sure, sure. Al, thank you very much. And it is such an honor to be on this series of podcasts because I just read through all of the people who are going to be speaking today. And to a person, it really is the people that are really trailblazers in this space. Um, so Al set me up pretty well. I am the CEO of Naomi, and I have been a human resources practitioner for about 20, 25 years. And then I did a career change, and I was a researcher and head of research for a couple of organizations, including the Conference Board and I4CP. And then I went into consulting, worked for several years at PwC, and now here I am later in my career doing the crazy stunt of becoming the CEO of a tech startup. So who knew, you know? Uh,
There you go. Hey,
hey,
I'm going to turn off
have a
right
big
now, but
demand
I'll
for
let
it.
you go and I'll join you at the end. All right.
All
Enjoy.
right, all
All right.
right. Welcome to Naomi. We are the new kids on the block when it comes to the work in this space. Um, we've only been around for about a year, so we really are the new kids on the block. We've been talking a little bit about this already today, or a lot about this already today, but I think Forbes said it very, very well with a headline that they had in just several months ago in June, saying skills are the currency of the future. And indeed, they went on to say, forget about Bitcoin. You know, skills are really where we need to be focusing our business attention, and not just human resources attention, but business attention overall. So, what we believe is that uh, the transition to a skills-based approach really needs to start at the strategic level. And in fact, what we're finding is that skill planning really is taking the place of strategic workforce planning. And Gardner backs us up on that position, saying workforce planning will refocus on critical skills versus critical roles. So we're transitioning from that critical role to critical skill kind of approach. The World Economic Forum and Towers have said mapping jobs to skills and tasks will signal skills needs. Now, what we are going to have once we know what skills we strategically need, what are the critical skills, what are the strategic skills our organization needs, then we're left with the question, do we build those skills internally, or do we buy those skills by going outside of the organization? Well, the first half is really focused on upskilling or reskilling our current workforce, because that is really how we get to the future in terms of skills. So Gardner, again, in a different piece, said learning needs will focus on employees' critical skills rather than on specific new roles. So it will basically deconstruct into the various skills as opposed to training for a particular job. The World Economic Forum back in 2018 said something really provocative. 42% of our core skills for most roles will change by 2022. Now, keep in mind, this was published in 2018, which means that over the course of 4 years, nearly half of our skills are being rendered redundant. Now, imagine how that compounds by 2026. We really need to be focused on reskilling and upskilling as a constant in our organization, not as a one-off kind of event. So, in order to answer the back half of the question, do we build or do we buy, we have to take a look at talent acquisition in addition to reskilling. So according to the World Economic Forum, again, last year, they said that innovative skill sourcing strategies are a pressing need. We need to get away from, as Stephen was saying in the previous presentation, we need to get away from job matching. We need to get away from the traditional kinds of ways that we evaluate candidates and look for candidates in the marketplace. McKinsey also said slow adopters to acquiring these new technical skills fear that they will face limited talent options. So technical skills are becoming more and more competitive. We know that they're getting more expensive, and we are seeing a flight from the very expensive concentrations of where technical skills have been found in the past. Silicon Valley, I was just reading an article today that Silicon Valley is sending many of its companies and many of its employees to Texas and to Dallas and Austin. So, who knew that that was going to be the new tech center? But we have to be aware that not only are the skills match right for technical skills, we have to also be aware that the geography is right as well. So what does Naomi do? Naomi is the first analytics platform in the world, as far as I know, and as far as like this morning, that uses artificial intelligence to provide integrated and comprehensive skills management support on all three of those levels that I was just talking about: strategic skills planning, workforce development and upskilling, and skills acquisition, all three. And let me tell you how it works just a little bit. The first step that we take is that we sit down with management teams, with our clients, and identify what the critical roles are. Now, I know I said, we don't work with critical roles, but we decided, where do our clients live? They already live in the strategic workforce planning world, where critical roles are, what they work with. So what we do is we start with those critical roles and have them begin to break those down into respective skills. Then what we do is we apply our artificial intelligence and data coming from our partner, MZ, and identify through that artificial intelligence what kinds of skills are likely to emerge as strategic skills that the organization is going to need beyond the skills that are within the confines of those critical roles. The next step that we take is that we take that expanded list of skills and we assess the current workforce using the first line managers to identify how well the first line managers already have mastered the current skills that they need, plus whatever additional skills we project into the future as what they will need. Once we get that done, again, we apply the artificial intelligence, which then projects out what kinds of skills each individual employee is likely to be able to pick up and how likely they are to be successful in the upskilling process. So basically what that does is it gives insight into individual potential, but it also gives insight into the collective potential of the workforce as a whole, which allows companies to identify what kinds of needs on the buy or on the build side they have. Whether they are going to be able to meet the skills needs of the organization of the future based on the combination of employees that they currently have. The third step is that we go outside the organization to answer the buy question. And in order to do that, we bring in lots of data, including the the skills clouds that we were talking about uh, that allow us to identify where those skills happen to be currently, how much those skills might cost, and we drill down to the skill level, not the job level, so we actually know what the skills cost and what the competition is like. And we're able to draw in, as Kelly was talking about earlier, draw in not only supply side, but also demand side. So we know what the competition looks like. Then, once again, we apply the artificial intelligence once again to identify in the future how those locations are likely to shift and merge. And are there other locations that are likely to shift and emerge with different skills over time? What's the competition like in 12 months, 18 months? So it's really quite exciting. So, like I said, we are one of the new kids on the block. So we have been spending about the last 2.5 years on the software, even though we've only been together as a company for about a year. But we've been concentrating a lot of our attention on building the backroom software that our clients never see. Now we're ready to roll that out in the form of services. So we're launching beta stage engagements in 2021, mostly in Q2 and Q3. So if you're interested in being a sponsor for the beta stages, we are more than happy to have conversations with you. So this is my contact information. Al has the contact information. And when this is recorded and you go back, you can certainly look at my contact information as well.
Again, congratulations on what you're trying to achieve. As I've discussed earlier in sessions, it's a big undertaking. It's complex. Many people have run for the hills because of its complexity, but you're giving it a go, and with good reason. And there's a few things I want to call out,
Sure.
but before I do, I want to ask a very basic question, and I sense it's going to be a question I'm going to ask throughout the day today. There are so many processes that this type of solution can influence.
Right.
Recruiting, internal mobility, personal development, gig workers, forecasting how certain disruptions are going to impact the number of people we have. So workforce planning. So who do you regard at this stage as your buyer? And again, to add some color over that too, it's long been said, when I say long been said, in the past few years, there's been a increasingly elevated narrative that we need new management models. We have these legacy decision-making processes that are ill-suited for the information that's available and the speed in which organizations need to move, and so forth. So this, to me, is a perfect example that it needs a systematic approach because it affects so many, processes. So what is your view on that? Where is your entry point into enterprises that, what problem are you trying to solve, in other words?
Well, that is a question we ask ourselves frequently. Mm-hmm. And the way that we have gone about solving that is really touching the organizations where they are able to make those decisions the best. So whether it's talking to CHROs, whether it's talking to VPs of talent development, or talent management, whether it's talking to people who are in charge of talent acquisition. There are multiple points of touch that we use. We also go on the technical side. So right now we're focusing on technological skills, both the technical side and the soft skills side, but we're focusing specifically on technological kinds of people and roles, not so much roles, but skills, obviously. Right. And so we are also talking to the folks on the technology side too. So the chief technology officers and the chief human resources technology officers. We're talking to those folks as well. But mostly it's on the talent management side and CHROs.
All right. And so with that in mind, as you go and have these discussions, because and being appreciative of the stage that you all are, there have been, some attempts at trying to forecast required skills, looking at adjacent skills, and then having learning programs that will help enable individuals within the organization and potentially out, acquire those skills so they're talent on demand to borrow. Oh my gosh, Patrick or. Peter Capelli. I had to cheat. I had to cheat. The notion of talent on demand, which Peter Capelli wrote the book 12, 15 years ago. And so is that really what you're putting on the table, is that we want this agile workforce and therefore we need tools to facilitate it and processes? Is that kind of core to your value proposition as well?
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do, at least as a beginning, I know that what I just described looks incredibly complex, and it is, but it only scratches the surface of breaking down those walls that you were talking about earlier. But I think what we're working to do is introduce solutions that go well beyond what is the sideways move an employee could make to pick up a new skill, or what is a particular employee's career development path that might be attractive. This comprehensive, integrative approach that I was talking about, we feel very strong about that, because we really feel that to get your hands around the organization right from the outset is incredibly important, because if not, you're solving kind of problems in a bottle. Mm-hmm. You're solving only the recruiting problem, or you're solving only the internal mobility problem, or you're only solving the talent or the career development problem. Mm-hmm. And that's not a criticism of other folks that are out there working in the space. This is a very ripe space for growth, and better we should all be accomplishing great things. But that's why we are approaching this from a strategic skills management and skills planning approach first, so that informs all of the other pieces. And as we begin to grow and branch out, at least that's my vision, to include things like compensation and benefit structures and that kind of thing, we will keep that strategic skills approach right from the outset, because we really feel that needs to inform the rest of the organization and the rest of the approach that we take.
Got it. And one of the things that you, having been in HR and serving HR for a long time, there have been those who have tried to give it a go internally. And what I have started to advocate more assertively, particularly over the last couple of years, is that if we're going to be in people analytics or talent analytics, whatever you call it, we have to be educated shoppers as well as good analysts. And we have to be able to ask the right question. We have to be really clear on articulating our business case. Now we're in a situation, if you are a leader in a talent discipline, whether it be talent acquisition, development, compensation, performance, whatever it is, we too have to be educated consumers, not only about the product, the process-centric solutions that are just going to stand up a process, but the analytical tools that sometimes are going to source data from outside our organization as well as inside our organization. Would you agree with that statement? And can you just share, again, if I am just focusing on recruiting, for example, if I am going to use Naomi, how am I going to say, okay, this is a must-need, non-negotiable for me to do my job? I mean, what do you say in that scenario?
You use the terminology, being an internal salesman, so to speak. And believe it or not, we've experienced just the opposite. We start talking about this kind of stuff, and people open their doors.
Right.
People want to be talking to us. And it's partly because they know that the world of recruiting, the world of development, the world of analytics is changing so rapidly that they're already playing catch up. I mean, if you noticed all of those articles that I cited, all of them have been published within the last 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
the vendors that are coming in like us to help support that are so new. I mean, like I said, we've been around for less than a year. I mean, I think the gray-haired guys may have been around for 7 or 8.
Right. Yeah.
But what we're finding is that we're seeing a big shift in the human capital community. They know that we need to make this kind of shift as a community, and so it's good for us because they want to talk to us. They
right.
answer our calls.
Yeah.
They're intrigued about what we're doing. But going back to your previous question, though, what is the touch point? Where is the person who has their hair on fire? Is it the CHRO? Is it the person in charge of talent planning? Is it the person in charge of talent acquisition? And that's where we have to find the sweet spot.
Right. Well, hey, John, great talking with you again. Congratulations. I mean, I like the fact, too, that you just emphasized that people who partner with you, they can help influence the development of the product. And I think you're on a great track, and I'm glad you're giving it a go. So how can people learn more about Naomi and you?
Thank you. And thanks for having me. This has been great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you missed it. How can people learn about Naomi and you?
I didn't hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do have a website. It's called naomitalent.com. And you can drop me a note. It's pretty easy, John Gibbons at naomitalent.com. And on the slide deck, I have my phone number. You can text me or call me anytime.
All right. Thanks, John. Appreciate you. You be well, and I'll see you hopefully before too long. You stay safe.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now.